My name is Jim Rutledge. I operate a Finish First franchise down in sunny Florida. And we do, on both sides of Florida, about 1,500 cars a month. We do a lot of business down there, and we've carved out a niche for ourselves doing chip and scratch repair. That's all we do. We don't claim to make the cars look like they did when they came off the showroom floor. You can't do that unless you take them to a body shop and repaint them. We're going to show you different kinds of damage and different kinds of processes, and we'll start with this one. This is common. This is the kind of stuff that you're going to find at the car dealerships all the time, and it's a marginal scratch. So, but I think everybody would agree that it's a whole lot better than it was, and so that's this first car. If you guys notice, there's some scratch marks right here, and again all the chips on the hood. Normally what I would do is I would probably buff the scratches out, but I want to show you guys the final finish and how it would treat those kinds of scratches, because again there are some franchises that are very successful that don't use the buffer. Before I go any further, let me just say, when I talk about what I do as a standalone business, that's all I do is chip and scratch repair. But I know a lot of you guys are doing a lot of other different things, and this is a perfect add-on. You've already got the car there. You know, if you can point out to them and say, look, I can take care of all the chips and the light scratches on your hood and charge you an additional $75, $100, $125, you'll have to set your own pricing on that. While the car's there, it's a great way to add on to your profits with that. I'm going to go ahead and work on my paint matching. Again, I'm going to take this palette, I'm going to go to my blues and lay this thing up here. And it's really very, very, very close to this blue metallic. It's very, very close. A lot of these paints have multiple colors. This has got blues and blacks and a number of different colors. So because you're treating very small areas, if you get it close within that family of colors, you're going to be fine. It's going to be just fine. This is actually a little bit lighter than the blue metallic there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to mix this, which is going to be a good thing to show you guys. And what I would do is you're going to pick the one that's on the light side and the one that's on the dark side, and you're going to start with the light paint and then add to it, you know, the darker paint. And with the paint mixing, it's something that you guys are going to have to, that's the one thing that everybody's the most afraid of, is the paint mixing. And it's something that just comes with time. When you first start, you may spend 45 minutes playing around trying to get your paint right. But eventually you'll get to where you can mix your colors in 2 or 3 minutes, and you just can look at a car and know what to put on it. But it just takes practice, and don't get discouraged. Stick with it. Within 30 days or less, it won't be an issue to you at all. The kits come with 118 colors. Many times, most often, you're going to have a color that's going to match exactly, and you just turn around and paint it right out of the bottle. But in this case, it's going to require some mixing. Everything that we do with the paint, we can undo it. There's nothing that you can do with this paint process that can't be reversed easily. So, for example, if a customer says, well, I'm not sure I'm going to like it, you could do a spot for them and say, this is what it's going to look like. And if they don't like it, well, then you just take it off. I'm going to take this paint, and I'm just going to put a little bit on the end of my finger, and I'm going to actually put it right there on the paint so that I can see how it matches. It's very, very, very close. Okay, next what we're going to do is we're going to actually start working on doing the chip repair. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take what's called Prep Max. It comes with the kit. And what this does is it removes any wax, any kind of silicone products that were used by the owner of the car, and it just cleans all that stuff out of the chips so that our paint will stick better. Okay, you're going to take your little shop towel, like I did before on the scratch, fold it into a little square, and in this case, remember, I'm using the paint right out of the bottle because it's a very, very close match. Always shake up your paints because the metallics tend to sink down to the bottom. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start here in the corner, and I will put a little bit like that on my rag, and I'm going to apply it in a little circular motion. The reason that I do that in a circular motion is because the little chips are, when the rocks hit them, they're got little jagged edges, and by going in a circular motion, it pushes it into those jagged crags. And I think this paint may be a little bit on the light side. One thing that you should always do, and I learned this the hard way, do a little section and then remove the excess paint, do the whole process on it to make sure you got your color right. I've painted a whole hood and all around the sides, only to find out when I took the paint off that it wasn't the right color. Have to start all over. So do a little section. So I'm going to put some of the light colored paint in the cup, and I know I'm going to use quite a bit on this hood because it's got a lot of little chips. And then I've taken a little bit of the one that's on the darker side, and I'm going to add this a drop at a time, or a little bit at a time, until I bring it up to the right color of blue. Once you get too far on the dark side, you have to use a ton of light paint to lighten it. So you're better off using just a little bit. And take your stick and mix it up. I get paid all day to do this, and my customers absolutely love this, and it's plenty acceptable to them. Highline cars, like I said, if it's a nice expensive car, well, they'll probably paint it, and that's fine. There's room in the world for everybody. Big difference, big difference. Not perfect like the scratch, but very different. Okay, on this one, you guys have all looked at this. This is a car, again, that the people that don't do buffing, they would walk around this car. When they're walking the lot and making a list, they wouldn't even put it down there to fix the chips because they can't deal with scratches. By being able to buff, it gives you a larger pool of cars to work with. It's more cars that you can fix. I'm not going to buff the whole hood. I may polish it, but these scuffs right here, I'm going to buff those out. I'm going to take one of these dabbers, and I'm just going to take and put a bead of paint all the way over there, and it'll end up being raised, almost looking like a scar. And that's actually what the competition does. They just come in and they put a big old line of paint on there and they walk away. They don't have any way to level it out. Most of them are not going to take the time to kind of wet sand that down a little bit, so they just leave it with that big ugly mark on it. But I'm going to go ahead and do that because I know that I can come back with my KLN and level that out.